Hi, I'm Bob Trask, and this is our weekly reset. Today we're going to talk about meditation. And I've got a question to start off with about beliefs. Like, if you were to lose all of your beliefs, all of your opinions, all of your ideas about how things are, that you're absolutely sure it's like this or like that or another thing, your favorite colors, your favorite music, your favorite rock bands, the political party you belong to, the religious affiliation or non-affiliation that you have, all of those things. What if all of those things went away? What would be left? And what our ego tells us is that there would be nothing left. What our ego tells us is that without those things, without our beliefs, we don't exist. And so from the time we're born, from the time we're little babies, we start collecting information. Information comes to us through experiences. We have experiences, and each experience impacts us emotionally in a certain way. And then we get a mental idea of what that emotion means, and we put that away, and it becomes a belief. And those beliefs stack up over the years until there are hundreds of trillions of them. And they're all in this huge, great, enormous place called our subconscious mind. And it runs our life. It tells us who we are, it tells us who we are not. Not very long ago, I had a dislocated shoulder, and the doctors were having a real hard time putting that shoulder back in. And so they said, we're going to give you ketamine. And ketamine is kind of a hallucinogenic. Now, I've had several out of body experiences, and I've had several spiritually transforming experiences. So I know what it's like to be outside of my body and outside of my comfort zone and outside of my belief system. But I never had an experience quite like this, because in this ketamine trip, I went out of my body, but I could still see my body, and I could see the other people in the room, and I could see the room, but I couldn't see it as you see it now. Everything was fluid. The people were fluid. Everything was energy. There was nothing that was not energy, that wasn't mixing and moving, and things were moving and mixing out of each other. And I watched all of that, and and what I recognized is that, and recognize now looking back, is that though I've taught this a lot and though I've had a lot of those kinds of experiences, I never had an experience that allowed me to really see so clearly how anchored I am and you are in this earthly idea of life. And when I say this earthly idea of life, I'm not denigrating that. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I'm just saying that what if when we were a little baby and we started growing up, rather than attaching ourselves to each experience, and I'm not saying this was a good idea, I'm just offering this as an idea to think about right now. What if we, instead of attaching ourselves to each experience, just said, look at that, that's an experience. So when you're 4 years old, you hurt your hand really badly, and maybe you have to go to the doctor, and maybe they put it in a splint or whatever, and it's very painful. What decisions did you make about yourself at that time? In fact, what decisions did you make about yourself through every experience throughout your whole life? And what if when that arm got broken or whatever, what if you didn't make a decision about yourself? What if you just saw that experience as an opportunity to experience more of a life without connecting to it, without saying, oh, this is about me? What if, what if through all of the experiences, good and bad, right and wrong, negative and positive, what if all those experiences were just experiences? And through those experiences, you grew. Through those experiences, you didn't try to find out more about yourself. You tried to find out more about reality. What if every experience expanded your vision of reality rather than your vision of who you are in reality? So one is focusing on me and what does this mean to me? The other one is I don't matter. I'm just the observer and I'm just seeing what reality is. And I become the observer of reality. But, you and I are not kids anymore. And some of us are really have a lot of generations behind us. So right now, we look back on our lives and we see that we have trillions of memories, and each memory is an experience. Each memory is an experience, a stored experience. And each one of those stored experiences have a judgment about who you are, about who I am. Experiences, beliefs. So we believe things now. And we hang on to those beliefs and we'll die for our beliefs. We know that through history. We'll die for our beliefs because if we change our beliefs, then we cease to exist. Now, we're talking about meditation today. What if there's a process, and it's a very simple process, whereby you could just go into a certain level and see all of those experiences as experiences and all those beliefs as just beliefs and detach yourself from them and just be detached from all of that reality on your own ketamine trip, but without all of the craziness that goes with that. Just a very simple, quiet expansion of consciousness, moving out of your thinking mind into your observing mind. So if you're not a meditator, I hope that this makes sense to you. So just stay with me for a few minutes and you'll see how this natural and really simple practice can change and can even lengthen your life. It can actually help you live longer. To meditate, to meditate is to fall away from thinking into a realm of non-thought, where we're in non-time and non-space. And then we become more grounded in life and less confused and more at peace. The wonderful writer and philosopher Paulo Coelho, who's written several really wonderful books, said, praying is talking to the universe. Meditation is listening to it. How true, how true. Thank you, Paolo. I learned to meditate when I was at sea. I was working on a dive boat. I was captain of a dive boat going out of Southern California out to the islands and putting people in the water and having them dive all day. And I was free to dive myself. So I began free diving. So every day I would go out and take the boat and go out and then I would free dive. And I spent every day for months and months diving in the deep waters off the coast of California and Mexico. And after a year, I really loved free diving. Boy, free diving is like amazing because when on this earthly plane, we all dream or wish that we could fly. When you're free diving, you're flying. This is a different atmosphere. In this atmosphere, birds swim across the sky, and that you fly across the atmosphere that's this water. It's so beautiful. And I wanted to be able to stay down as long as possible. I wanted to go as deep as possible. But after like a year, I was to be able to go down to maybe 60 or 70 feet, maybe 75 feet, and stay down for maybe a minute and a half. And it was not enough. It was not enough time. And I wanted to be able to go down farther and stay down longer. One summer, a college kid came and wanted to get a job on the boat. So I hired him and he said, but I'm a meditator and you have to give me 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the evening to meditate. And I said, okay. And he said, and I need a peaceful place to do that. And I said, well, you can use my cabin. So every morning and every evening, he'd go in my cabin and meditate. And I became a little focused, a little curious about that. Excuse me. So he taught me to meditate. And very soon after that, my life started changing. Now, I'm not sure looking back quite why I decided to meditate. I think I was just fascinated with the idea, but I didn't expect what happened. There was a lightness that came into my life, a lightness that I'd never experienced before, an objectivity. And rather than being in the problem on the boat when the problem came up on the boat with the crew or diving or the location or the anchor, rather than being in those problems, I was objective. I was seeing the problems and moving through them. It was a really interesting experience. I solved disputes with gentle insight that I didn't even know I had. I didn't expect the meditation to impact me the way it had, and I sure didn't expect it to impact my diving. But almost at once, I could hold my breath longer and swim deeper. And as the months and the years went by after that, I swam deeper and deeper and I held my breath longer and longer, and it was just not a big deal. And another amazing thing happened. Fish, when I went down, fish would always flee from me. If I went through the kelp beds, they would flee or they would hide. Wherever I went, fish would swim away from me. When I started meditating, they started coming to me. I'd coast along the depths and I'd look over my shoulder and there'd be a school of fish following just behind my fins. Pretty soon I was able to swim with dolphins and with whales. And I discovered, to my amazement, that there exists a balance, a harmony, a coherence that flows in one mutual consciousness between all these creatures in the sea and all these creatures in the land, that there's a flow of energy and wisdom that's going back and forth. I was just, and I wasn't thinking that. I mean, it's not something you can think. I was being it. I was feeling it. It was me. Imagine being in a community of animals, fish, and plants and feeling that oneness. Of all living species, only we humans have the ability to deny our true family. Only we have the ability to step outside of that and say, no, I'm different because I have a brain and my brain works different than yours. And I have an ego. I know who I am and I defend who I am. And I have all my piles of beliefs that I think are truth. And they aren't truth. I believe I've got a lot of beliefs. So when I say to you, I don't say this in an insulting way. I say beliefs are false. All of my beliefs are false. Whatever you believe, it's not true. If you're a Republican and you think Democrats are wrong, that's not true. If you're a Democrat and you think Republicans are wrong, that's not true. If you're a Catholic and you think atheists are wrong, that's not true. If you're an atheist and think Catholics are not wrong, that's not true. None of it's true. Either everything is true or nothing's true. Either everything is true or nothing's true. That's where you go with meditation, is that you see the oneness of all things. And you feel the beauty in the silence, in the vacancy of noise and emotional charge. One day I had a vessel down in the Sea of Cortez, and I had like 15 or 20 crew people and 30 or 40 passengers, and it was just a beautiful day, and it was just velvet out on the sea. And I stopped the engines and I put the boat in neutral, and I shut off the generator so that the whole boat, which was normally thrumming with some kind of engine noise, became silent. And I got on the intercom and I asked everybody to come on deck. And I said, for the next half hour, I'm going to ask you to maintain absolute silence. Please don't talk. Please don't talk. Please just be. I'm not asking you to do anything, but I thought this is what a velvet opportunity. What an opportunity here in this magnificent place to let these people experience the sea and the sky and the islands and just be one with them in the silence. So everything was quiet, everything was still, except that I had 3 crew members that were so frightened by this sudden change they couldn't stop jabbering. My crew passengers were fine. I had 3 crew members that were just jabbering, talking, laughing back and forth. I went down and found them and I said, "Will you please honor this time? Please be quiet." The truth of it is they couldn't do it. They couldn't be quiet. I learned an important lesson that day. And I'm not saying that they were doing it out of meanness or out of rebellion. They couldn't do it. And the lesson I learned that day is that the blessings of consciousness cannot become clear to us until we stop the motors of our minds. We have to stop. You have to stop that rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat noise. Oh, I got to do this, and then I've got to do that. Oh my God, I almost forgot to do this, and I've got to do that. Oh, like I'll do this, and then I'll do that. Oh, I know, I'll call her, and then when I'll ask her to do it, and all that crap going on in our brains is nonsense. It has no validity. All of the stuff that you and I were so busy yesterday getting done, what if we didn't do it? Would the world stop? Would our lives end? What if we didn't do it? What if we just stopped? What if we just put on a backpack and hiked up the trail into the mountain and camped out for a week and talked to nobody? Would the world stop? What if I put on my mask fins and snorkel and I went into the sea and I pumped up and went down 100 feet and just floated with the fish along in that 100 foot? Would the world stop? If I stopped thinking, just stopped thinking, and that's a process. That takes some time, but you actually can learn to stop thinking, have your mind go absolutely flat. Takes a little time, but it's a worthwhile process. And when that happens, what happens is that we come home. We come home to who we really are. And then, rather than being abstracted from this earthly life, we finally are part of this earthly life. We aren't separate in these little ego bodies. We are one with what is. We're flowing with the wind and the rain and the snows and the mountains and the trees and the eagles floating on updrafts of wind over lofty mountaintops and great blue whales breaching in the southern seas. We're one with all of that. All of that's flowing through us all the time. Spiritual author Maxime Lagasse agrees. He said, "We live in a society so uncomfortable with quiet that the word meditation scares people." Maxime Lagasse. We live in a society so uncomfortable with quiet that the word meditation scares people. So today, let's talk about beauty. Let's talk about the exquisite elegance of meditation. And when we're stressed, we become frightened and afraid, then we take shelter in our intellects, in our ego minds. But we're not in danger. And when we feel we're in danger, our natural reaction is to cling to the life raft of our ego. We can't do that and meditate. Author and spiritual master Amit Ray says that suffering is due to our disconnection with the inner soul. Suffering is due to our disconnection with the inner soul. Meditation is establishing that connection. So enter the vastness of meditation. We have to let go even when it feels perilous. We have to ignore the wolf at the door. A few years ago, I took a little boat, a small boat, just a rowboat um, out onto um, the great area between the United States and Canada, out on that sound. And I was alone out there, and I was in towering waves. When I was on top, I could see for miles. And when I was in a trough, I could only see the towering waves around me. I thought at the time that this is a metaphor for life, thinking we can't see our way out of a situation. And then if we're patient, we're lifted up and everything becomes clear. I haven't been on that part of the sea for years, but I'm always comforted by the knowledge that those swells are still going on day and night. I can still feel myself among them day and night, wherever I am. In my meditations, I'm often on that sea in silence, in its great presence. So then in meditation, no matter what adversities come our way, we automatically adjust, don't we? We automatically flow. So let's just try a meditation. This is not going to be a long meditation. I'm going to just ask you to just close your eyes, if you will. Wherever you are, just close your eyes and just gently breathe in through your nose. I'm not going to ask you to do anything weird, nothing strange. Just breathe in through your nose. Just breathe in through your nose. And as you're breathing, would you believe that you're breathing pure peace? Just imagine, use your imagination. It's not air, it's peace. It's the peace of all universes flowing into you. And so your body is becoming peace. Just imagine you're breathing in peace and your body is becoming peace. And don't get locked up in thinking about this. Just observe it. Observe it quietly, without thought. You are peace. You are peace. This is your true nature. You are the universe. You are the universe. You are the soft wind blowing across the pond. You are peace. Relax, 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 and breathe and just watch your breath. Just watch your breath and know that that breath is peace. Relax. And find yourself sinking deeper and deeper into the sea of peace. All is well. All is well. Now be aware, if you will, of what you're feeling right now. Don't think about it. Just be aware of it, what you're feeling right now. This is the beginning of what you'll feel in a deep meditation. Thank you. Allow yourself to come back now. Allow yourself to come back. Again, Maxime Legacy, he said, the best meditation is effortless. The best meditation is a gentle awareness. How true, how true. The wonderful author and teacher James Allen said the more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, his influence, his power for good. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. And I must tell you that the word wisdom is used erroneously so many times because smartness, being smart and being wise are not the same thing. Wisdom comes from being one with what is, one with the universe in a calmness. And in order to do that, we have to know that all is well. I know there's a lot of political upheaval. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that looks like danger, but it's all surface stuff. There's a deeper truth, a deeper reality. It's been going on for trillions and trillions of eons and centuries and will go on forever. It is the fact that truth is, and we are truth. But we have to be able to get out of our beliefs and out of our barely conscious thinking processes in order to be one with that truth. So now we know what meditation is. So the question is, can we set aside 15 minutes each day for this inner healing? 15 minutes. If we can do that twice a day, just 15 minutes, that's 1/48th of my day. 1/48th of my day. Can I find 15 minutes twice a day? And don't judge yourself about your meditation. It doesn't make, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. If you go into a meditation and say, oh, my thoughts were just rattling around all the time and I couldn't really get centered. If you spend 15 minutes, when you come out of it, you're going to go, oh, wow, something different happened. And every time you do it, it'll be deeper. And after you've done it for several months, you will be flying through space. For me, I want to be all I can be while in this incarnation. And for me, that's not being as rich as I can be, or as famous as I can be, or as popular as I can be. I want to read every page of this book called life, and I want to digest it. And when I leave this planet, I don't want to leave anything undone. Now, if you're interested in a meditation that can help you just move forward, go to my Bob Trask weekly 5-minute guided meditation. It's on YouTube. Just go, if you just hit, you can just go to Google and hit Bob Trask 5-minute meditation and it'll take you there. My Bob Trask's weekly 5-minute guided meditation. And if you'll just do that every day, and let me guide you through this 5 minutes of bliss that'll begin you on your journey of meditation. And then you don't have to try to figure out when to do it. You just make a regular schedule and just open up that computer and go, boom, there I am. Thank you for being with me. Thank you. Boy, I hope you can go meditate now. And I hope this is going to be good for you. Now, if you will, I'd like for you to go to bobtrask.com, and leave a donation and tell other people about this site that you found here and bring other people. There's this weekly reset. We have a different subject every week and we go deep into the bones of things and find out how they refer to us in our lives. Again, thank you for being with me. Go in peace and know that you are loved. Whoever and wherever you are loved.